what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another daily Q&A Walking Dead / Fear of the Walking Dead type of video. This one will be a Q&A in which we focus on a few things. The results of the second episode of Fear of the Walking Dead. We're going to be talking about also what year Fear of the Walking Dead most likely takes place, and a few other random questions. Okay, so this is a good one. It actually sounds like Fear of the Walking Dead Episode 2 did really good. The first episode did about 10 million viewers. The second episode, leading up the week after on Sunday, did 8 million. So we got the results now. I wanted to give my thoughts on that because it's something we were discussing in a previous Q&A because we were kind of talking about, was the series premiere a disappointment? Did it suck? Was it terrible? The fact that 80% of your viewers came back for the second episode would conclude, or I would say is evidence that the first episode didn't suck. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't a letdown. It wasn't horrible. There may be some people that were a little bit disappointed with it, hoping for more zombies, such as myself. But I was still happy enough with it, and it sounds like 80% of the people also out there were, because they tuned in for the second episode. So that's good news. You know, that means that the show should be healthy. The show should go on for a long time. And with views like that, as long as it continues somewhere around there for AMC into the second season, the show should last a really long time. You got shows like Mad Men that consistently was less than 5 million. Breaking Bad's final season finale was like in the 5 million range. So considering this is a new series, even though it's a companion to the original, that's still kind of smashing it for AMC compared to a lot of their other shows like Hell on Wheels and stuff like that that's been on for years and has never touched, I don't think it's ever touched anywhere near that range. You can look up their episode wiki if you want. So I wanted to touch on that because that's good news for all of us who like Fear of the Walking Dead, such as myself. Because some people were like, oh, you know, it sucks so bad. So those numbers, those results basically prove, in my opinion anyway, that majority of people, 80% of people, were satisfied enough with it that they tuned in the next week. Even if they were a little bit disappointed. So that's cool. So this is a great question. This is from Jonathan Gillis, and he says, hey, Trev, I have a question that I'm surprised no one has covered about Fear of the Walking Dead. Do you think that the show is taking place around 2010, 2011? I noticed they have older cell phones, such as the iPhone 3 or 4, in the show, and I assume that was intentional. I wonder if they will have time skips to catch up to the original Walking Dead. Thanks. I don't think so. I don't think the show will ever catch up to the original Walking Dead in terms of, like, you know, time skips like that where it's at right now. The original Walking Dead will probably be further ahead when we get to this point. So unless the original Walking Dead gets canceled, it should basically always kind of be ahead, unless, like you said, we see some kind of huge time skip, which I don't buy. I don't really see that happening, because in the original Walking Dead we had a couple winters, we had a big time skip of 6 months, so it's got quite a bit of ground on Fear of the Walking Dead. I don't know if it's ever going to catch up. We'll see. It certainly isn't gaining any ground on it with this pacing. That's for sure. But the good part of his question was that about the timing. This is something that we briefly touched on, and I think that you have it right. My interpretation is it'd be somewhere around that time range. If you look at Calvin's car, that looked like it was like, what year was that? That was like a 2000 year, right, car. Not like one of your newer, not even like 2010, 2011, you know, but he's a kid, so we got to think. He's a drug dealing kid. So we got to think he probably bought it in cash with his drug money. And based on the other vehicles we've seen around, I think your time range is pretty good. 5 years ago, 2015, 5 seasons of The Walking Dead through, you know, we were looking at the premiere around that time range. I like it. I think that's a good idea. I think that makes sense for the television series version of The Walking Dead. The comic book series version, for timing, it's like, you know, it started so many, like over a decade, right? Like when, like how many? It's been so long since it's been 140 some odd issues. So it's been forever since the comic book series originally started. So the timeline of both of those, they didn't really put that much care to make it, you know, make sense in terms of that. Like there are certain vehicles people have pointed out in the Walking Dead original that shouldn't be there based on the year. So, but I think that you're pretty much right, John. I think you're around the right time range, 2010, 2011, 2009, 2012. You could probably make a case for a few different times, but they haven't said anything specific yet. It certainly would be close to that. The fact that, like you said, they have iPhone 3, iPhone 4, tablets, devices like this. You're definitely not looking at like the year 2000, 2005, probably not. you're probably looking at around 2010. I think that's a solid guess for sure. Maybe we'll see that eventually confirmed. Lots of new questions with the new show. So over time, with Comic-Cons and stuff, hopefully people can kind of ask and find out about this. It's also possible that someone said something in an interview or something that I haven't read. I try to read all the Walking Dead stuff from Fear and that with the comic series and that. But even still, there's some stuff at certain cons and stuff that I don't pick up on that people said in interviews with certain sources online that I don't see even over the, pretty much going on 6 years, over 5 years online now with Walking Dead with YouTube, even prior, doing some stuff prior. So yeah, anyway, cool stuff, good question. I would say that's probably true. Around 2010 is probably a safe bet. But write your comments below if you guys disagree, if you think it's earlier, if you think it's later. I don't think it would be in the future from when the first series started. I don't think that makes sense. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Next one is from GSNell15, and here she says, "Hey Trev, I've got a FTWD question for you. I was wondering if you think the later seasons of Fear the Walking Dead's dynamic will change like The Walking Dead does frequently. Will by season 3 or 4 Madisson be like a female Rick, executing people for fun and being absolutely ruthless? And will there be large groups or camps such as Woodbury posing a threat to the group? There seems to be a focus in the background on looters, and I think they may pose a threat, but a much larger group would be more interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts." Yeah, man, that's a great question. But I do think, I like the part you mentioned that she may become a female Rick. And I do agree with that. I do think that makes a lot of sense to see her as kind of like a future, in the future as maybe more similar to Rick in this style. There's another question here too I want to kind of add to this one. Let's see, where is it? Okay, this one's from Mr. Adrenaline, and it's kind of combined. It's kind of similar to yours, GSNL. He says, "Hey Trev, this one is for your Q&A. Do you think it's possible that one or more of the leads in Fear the Walking Dead, like Travis, Nick, or Madisson, could end up becoming very dark and villainous, somewhat like the Governor or even Negan as the series goes on? It could be interesting to see how the zombie apocalypse could turn people, good people, into bad guys, as we saw with the people in Terminus. After all, Rick once said, 'We are the Walking Dead,' and this series is called Fear the Walking Dead. Like maybe these characters are people who should be feared in comparison to Rick's gang, who have managed to keep some of their human decency despite their condition." So awesome comment from Mr. Adrenaline, or question 1982. Love that one. Had to include that with yours, GSNL. So I love it, man. I think that's a really good kind of prediction ahead of time that we don't. It's too early right now to really say anything concretely, right? But I like your idea that Fear the title of The Walking Dead. For those of you who don't know this so far, if you're new subscribers to that, it's apparently supposed to refer to the survivors. At least now it does. I think in the beginning it referred to the zombies, but that's just me anyway. Kirkman says it refers to the survivors, not the zombies, right? So the Walking Dead are actually Rick's group, the survivors in that world. So what Mr. Adrenaline is saying, that the title Fear the Walking Dead could actually be referring to be afraid of the survivors, don't be afraid of the zombies. So I love that. I love that twist, and I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think it would be cool because they want to keep it different from the original. So to have a different type of group with different dynamics that could end up being bad guys over time. We've seen shows like Breaking Bad where you have Walt, where he starts off as like your atypical academic good guy, and he turns into this just drug dealing empire overlord. So and it's really fun, and people are into it all the way through. So I think they may go that route, Mr. Adrenaline. I think you might be right about that. We may see some really dark stuff from them. Certainly Nick would be one to question as turning into a really bad guy, and Travis kind of too in some ways also, because he's an intellectual. I like him if he makes it though, but that's the question, is will he make it? I'm not sure. We'll see about that. We'll talk about that in the next Q&A. But great questions from you guys. I really like this one. So write your comments below. Keep sending me your private messages, guys. Always enjoy to hear your thoughts on it. But yeah, I do think eventually GSNL Madisson will become like a female Rick Sword. I think she might be the breakout lead. I think Travis is there to kind of confuse us, but I think eventually she may take over as the core lead like Rick, except she's a female, which is obviously a lot different, which is cool. So let me know what you guys think. Write your comments below, and if you like this video, you know what to do. Come on, guys, thumb it up. Do it for me. I appreciate it. And if you wouldn't mind sharing, favoriting, and also if you're new, review and you want to make me feel great, go ahead and subscribe at the bottom left. That's it for today's. I may see you guys again tomorrow. As always, it's Trev. I'm saying peace. See you guys later. Yeah.